going on, everybody? Welcome back to the BTR Garage. My name is Justin. Today we've got some more parts for my 2002 Ford F-250. We got a box right behind me here. We're going to open it up, see what's inside, and install it on the truck. All right, so we'll go ahead and get these out of the box. Like the title suggests, these are headlights for my 2002 Ford F-250. These things will fit a 1999 through 2004 model Super Duty truck, so F-250, F-350, F-450, etc. But let's get them out of the box and show you what we have. So as you can see, we have both the headlamp as well as the turn signal portion of the whole headlight. These are from a company called DWVO. You can check out the links down in the description. They come in a smoked lens version as well. This is obviously the clear version. This is a direct OEM replacement, so there's a few things we have to remove on the OEM headlights in order to get them out and then install the new ones. They just go back in the reverse order. We'll show you that, of course, here in just a minute. You will need light bulbs for these. They do not come with new light bulbs, so you can just reuse your OEM ones. Or if you saw my previous video where we installed LED bulbs into the headlights, you can use those as well. So taking a close look at these things, they look to be pretty well made, pretty typical from an aftermarket company replacement headlight or replacement part. Solid plastic on the rear. Obviously the lens, the durability of this, will just have to see over time how well it holds up. But super clear, super clean. It has the plastic protective film on it, like these parts usually have for installation. And again, all of the normal OEM attachment points that you would find on your OEM headlight. Like I said, a direct OEM replacement should pop right in. So we'll go ahead and get started with the removal of the OEM headlights and then show you how to install these new ones and kind of compare the differences between the OEM and these ones, if any at all. So before we actually remove the headlight, I highly recommend removing the battery on the side that you're working on, just because it makes it so much easier to access everything behind the headlight, the lower clip that holds it in, as well as the headlight bulb itself. You're gonna have to get back in there, so just take the couple minutes to get it out. Trust me, your life will be much easier when doing this upgrade. With the battery out, we can go ahead and get started on the headlights. Now, unlike some of the other processes you might see out there on the internet, I like to start with the bottom portion of the light first, and we do that by just taking out the two Phillips head screwdrivers down here on the bottom. So we're gonna pop those screws out, and then really after that, it's just pulling that headlight out of the way, and then it makes it a little bit easier to get the upper headlight out. And with the screws out, we can just kind of grab it from the side over here and this side over here and give it a little tug to pop it out like that. And this side came out pretty easy, as you can see. Then we just got to get to the light bulbs in the back, give them a twist, and they will pop out. Don't forget the little rubber grommets that sometimes stick to the back of the headlight. We'll want to put those back on the bulb itself. That is the water or moisture seal. And there we go. Lower portion of the headlamp is out. Now we can start working on the clips on top of the headlight, those two clips I mentioned earlier. To get these out, you kind of got to pry the edges of them. I'll show a close-up of what the clip looks like. Pry out the little edges on the top of them, which are pointed out in the photo, and then grab the tops of the clips with a pair of pliers or maybe a screwdriver, and you just kind of got to work it and pry it out from the top. I'll try to get the camera in here a little bit closer to show you how it looks when we're taking it out. So it's incredibly difficult to get a good camera view on this. What I'm doing is I'm taking my little pick here, and I'm going to insert it into the hook on the clip and then pull away from it in that kind of motion, just to unhook this portion of the clip finger on the mount in the back. So I'll try to set up the camera and do that. We're gonna pull it off of both sides and then pull up on the clip right here using this little hole. We'll use a pair of pliers. But then once we have the sides of it undone, we can then pull up on that clip and dislodge it. All right, so we got our tool down in here. Pull away on that clip. Looks like we got it dislodged. Do the other side. It's super hard to see what is going on in here, but it's not terribly difficult once you get to it and start working away at it. All right, I think I got that one. Next, we're going to grab a pair of long needle nose, at least this is what I've used, and I'm going to stick that in the little hole of the clip and kind of pull it backwards towards the front or the back of the truck actually. Kind of bend it back and just start prying it upward. There we go. So it does take a little bit of force, as you can see, but we did get the pin out, or the clip rather, and it's intact. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side here and get that one out. There we go, our second clip is out. Now with the clips out from the top, we can go ahead and pull away the top of the light. Again, just kind of grab the top of it, give it a little bit of a tug. These things aren't in too tight. It doesn't come all the way out yet though. We still have one clip in the back that we have to get. There we go, with a little bit of a tug, it comes loose. Now we'll go ahead and reach around the back of the light and give you a close-up in a photo. And to get that clip out, you just have to take your tool, pry in either side of the clip, and then it should push out the front. So get back in here. Actually, I might do it from this side where you guys can't see anything that's going on. All right, we finally got that one out. It took a little bit more finagling on this side than it did on the passenger side of the truck. If you have a clipped or an LED headlight like I do, all you have to do is unplug the headlight. If not, you'll have to use the little round release to undo the lock on the headlight bulb and then slide your headlight out. Put that aside. Obviously, we'll use that in the new headlights. And we'll show you a little bit of the difference between these ones and the aftermarket headlights. Now, looking at the backs of the headlights, they're obviously very, very similar, being a plug-and-play unit for the OEM one. All of the normal mounts, like I mentioned earlier, are in place and very much the same. It does include its own retaining knob for the headlight. There are a couple things you're going to want to do to the new headlight in order to prepare it for installation. So we want to make sure that the headlight is aimed as close as possible to the original headlight, and that is all done by measuring the lengths on these posts, all three of them, including the one on the bottom here. We want to make sure they're about the same length, and that way we get the closest headlight alignment that we had previously on the truck. You're going to want to realign your headlights, or see where they line up at night when they're on, to make sure that they're not pointing up really high in the air and blinding other people, or pointing too low. And so what we'll do actually is I'll take a tape measure, measure the distance between the end of this particular piece right here to where the notch is in the mounting part. So I'll put up a photo that shows a closer representation of this, but we'll want to do that, measure that distance, and then make that same distance on the new headlight. As you can see, the new headlight is obviously a little bit longer than the one that we just took out. So we'll do that for all three of these pieces, measure the distance to the slots to make sure they are the same length. And one thing that's cool about the new headlights as well is the adjustments for the headlight are actually Phillips head screwdriver adjustments versus the Torx head adjustment like on the other headlights. So you don't need a specialty tool to adjust these things. When it does come down to it, you can just use a regular old screwdriver. The other thing I noticed on the new headlight is on this particular mount, on the threaded end of it, it has a little extension on it that extends about 1/4 of an inch or so beyond the threads. You actually need to cut this down on the Ford F-250 at least, so that it doesn't hit the back of the headlight housing. And we'll do that with your basic Dremel tool. You can also use a hacksaw or whatever you might have that can just cut the end of this threaded rod off. And obviously you want to set the distance of the mounting piece before you make the cut so that we have enough threads left there. So I'm going to adjust this new headlight to match the mounts on the old one, and then we'll go ahead and stick it back in, and we should be able to wrap it up. So we'll put everything back together in the reverse order that it came out, starting with our main headlight. We'll line up the bottom clip in the hole and then the top clips as well. And then just kind of firmly press things into place. And you'll notice I didn't put the headlight in yet. We'll do that afterwards. Just makes things a little bit easier. There we go, that one clipped in. And we're gonna push the top ones in, click into place, and we wanna have them far enough in so that we see the little groove where the clip slides into. Once they're in that far, we're gonna grab our clips and just push them down and press them into place. It can be a little bit difficult. We'll get them started by hand, and I found it's a little bit easier to use a tool like the one I have here, just to kind of press them down into place, or you can use a pair of pliers. Once you get it started, you can kind of use your tool to slide one side down, slide the other side down, and kind of teeter-totter it down into place. Eventually it'll click into place and bottom out. So we'll go ahead and throw the other one on. This one's a little bit more difficult to get to, but not terrible. And that one snapped in much easier, just went right down and bottomed out, so it's good. The bottom portion of the light will do next. This just has a couple snap-in posts on each end and some guides as well, so you just want to make sure you aim the guides into the appropriate holes. And obviously we're going to put our lights back in place as well. With the lights back in, we'll go ahead and line it up here, hopefully. Once you have the guideposts in place, it's just a matter of giving it a little bit of a push on the ends. And here it snap into place, and then we'll replace the screws. I'm gonna grab my LED headlights, which we did a video on these a little while back. If you missed that one, you can check that out in the description, or maybe up in a corner somewhere here. I don't know, but let's get this guy back in. So at this point, the installation is complete. I did have to readjust my headlamp because even with trying to measure out the mount points and the adjustment knobs, it still came out a little out of whack. You are gonna have to realign your headlights after doing this installation, almost in most cases, I would think, or it would be a good idea to just check it and do it anyways. I'll try to put up a video of how to do that in the near future here. So the fitment and everything came out pretty good. I don't see anything that's actually bad about the headlight. It went in as it should without any issues. There's maybe a minor gap difference between the OEM headlights and these ones, between the main headlamp and the signal lamp. This gap here and then the gap underneath, maybe not quite as perfect as OEM, but it's probably about 95% there from an OEM fitment perspective. Really not a big deal at all, and nobody's gonna notice except those of us that are particular about that kind of thing and installing these headlights. So fitment is really good overall, and I'm pretty happy with it. So we're gonna turn on the headlights and see how they look. So obviously much clearer than my former OEM headlamps, which were dirty and dingy. And even those ones I had polished up and cleaned up not long ago. These ones are significantly more clear. It's almost like looking through glass on the front of the headlamp. So pretty happy with that, and actually makes my LED bulbs that I bought a while back look a whole lot better, a whole lot clearer and cleaner. Now, one thing I would recommend if you're in the middle of doing this particular job is replace your headlights and your signal and running light. I already have LED bulbs in here. You can check out my video I did on those a while back if you want to add some LED headlights to your truck. One thing I didn't do, which I wish I did, is replace the signal and running light with LEDs as well. So eventually I'll have to pop off this bottom section and replace those with LEDs. So don't do what I did in this regard. Get those LEDs first, replace them when you have everything apart. Just make it so you don't have to take it apart again in the future. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap it up for today's video. Thanks for watching. If you have any thoughts, comments, or questions, like always, please leave them down below in the comments. I would love to hear from you. And if you missed the most recent video where we installed the taillights on the truck, if you'd like to do both taillights and headlights while you're at it, you can find that video down in the description along with a bunch of other truck videos that we have done. If you want to keep up to speed on new videos coming from the channel, hit that subscribe button down below, turn on your notifications. We'd really love to see you around in the future. Stay safe out there, everybody. I am checking out. Talk to you all next time.